Hello, welcome or welcome back. In today's lesson, we will work with the hands or one hand of your choice, and the hand will become softer, more relaxed, but also maybe a little bit more dexterous, a little bit more responsive, refined. This will not only happen to your hand, but maybe to your whole self. So that's the idea of the lesson. You as a whole might become or might improve just as your hand does. Having that idea at hand, let's start with the lesson, and we will start by lying down on the back. As always, come to lie down on your back. And then choose one hand and bring that arm, for example your left one, a little bit out to the side, a little bit. And bend your elbow and let your hand hang from your wrist, and then lift one finger to get your hand up to standing on your lower arm. But have your fingers relaxed. They don't do anything. And then hang your hand again. So your lower arm is standing and your hand is thrown over, hanging, or lifted a little bit slowly. So you have to go very, very slow to feel the details of the movement, how you stand your hand and then how you push it, throw your hand itself over, so the hand falls from the wrist and hangs. The fingers are hanging forwards, and you might notice that when your hand is hanging, the fingers open, extend a little bit, and when you stand your hand, the fingers start to curl up and fold by themselves. So when your hand is standing on your lower arm, the fingers are more curled, should be. And when your hand is thrown over and hanging forwards, the fingers open a little bit more. 1, 2, 3 fingers and a thumb, which is also a finger. Then let your hand hang and move your lower arm, but keep your elbow in place, so the elbow doesn't move. The elbow stays glued to where it is, and see there's a couple of directions you can go: up, down, left, right, anything in between. So the wrist can draw circles in space while your elbow keeps standing on the floor. And in a mode of relaxation, of ease, observe this motion of moving your wrist around in space and observe how your hand reacts to this, how your hand is actually subject to gravity, and how far do you have to move your wrist backwards until your hand falls over by itself, without the hand pushing the hand, without you consciously and deliberately moving your hand. So you only move your wrist through space and observe how your hand reacts. So that is victim of sorts of the movements of your wrist. So use your wrist, the movements of your lower arm, to let the hand fall backwards so that the hand can eventually stand like before, but not by muscling it up, not by moving the hand itself, but by moving the wrist through space. And at what point does your hand fall over forwards? So try to have your hand hanging passive more and more. Let go of your hand. Be observing the movements of the hand when the hand is resting and you're just moving your lower arm, circling your wrist around in space. And observe how far do you have to move your wrist left and right or back and up until your hand will react or have any movement at all. How much basic tension is there in the hand that prevents the hand from giving itself up to gravity and the changing positions you put your hand into by moving your wrist through space. And then at some point, bring your lower arm to the floor, your wrist to the floor, which means your hand will also fall to the floor, and let your arm rest and your hand rest. Be supported by the floor, rest on the floor. Then bend your elbow again so that your hand is hanging from your wrist and the lower arm is standing somewhat vertical, like a candle. And bring your attention to your pointer finger and start to lift and extend your pointer finger. Start to point towards the ceiling and let the pointer finger drag up your hand to standing, and then let go again, let the hand fall over again. So the starting position is with the hand being bent over the wrist, and then your attention on the tip of your pointer finger, maybe rising your pointer finger, extending and pulling up what the middle finger maybe, or the palm. So the pointer finger is pulling the hand to standing, and then curl in your pointer finger again and let the hand fall over. And continue with this motion of the pointer finger lifting and dragging up the hand to standing, and observe the details. The pointer finger has a couple of segments, 3 segments, 1, 2, 3 joints. It can go in various pathways, a little bit to the left or to the right. Even the pointer finger can go in circles or curves, and it's connected to the palm and to the other fingers in some way. So try to feel those connections while you lead the movement with the tip of your pointer finger. And then shift your attention to your middle finger and do the same thing with the middle finger. So maybe have your awareness on the tip of your middle finger and how you extend your middle finger. Extend it towards the ceiling and how segment by segment the middle finger rises and drags the hand along with it until the hand is standing, and then let the hand fall over again or lead with the middle finger. And also the middle finger can go a little bit to the left or to the right in a circular or elliptical motion, can make curves. What is the easiest, the most efficient pathway of the middle finger? When do you have to bend which segment? What is your habit and what can you discover? Can you explore or invent? Can you move the middle finger in isolation? Or how about moving your pointer finger and the middle finger together to lift the hand and throw over the hand? And then we move on to the ring finger. So see if you can locate the ring finger in yourself, in your feeling, and start to extend your ring finger to move your hand. Again, what pathways or what is the ideal pathway? What is a good and inefficient pathway? What feels easy? What feels strange? What can you come up with? How would you combine the movements of your ring finger with the middle finger or pointer finger? And the pinky finger. Let's do this one as well. How can the pinky finger lift the whole hand? And how about the thumb? Can the movements of the thumb drag along the rest of the bunch? And then bring your wrist to rest on the floor again. Bring your arm down to rest. Yes, was high time probably. See, where's a neutral position for your hand and your arm on the ground? Where is there no tension? Where does the arm like to rest and relax? How does your left arm feel compared to your right one? How does the arm you work with compared to the other one? Couple of more things to explore. So please bend your elbow again. So we had the motion of standing the hand and letting it fall over again. And let's look at the rotation of the lower arm. So there's two bones inside that can rotate around each other. So you can rotate your hand so that the palm faces away from your face or towards your face. And see how the rotation of the lower arm affects the lifting of your hand. So when you lift your pointer finger, for example, as we just did, and you have the palm of your hand facing your midline, as opposed to lifting your pointer finger when you have the palm facing away from you. Or try that with the other fingers. How does the rotation of your lower arm affect the lifting of your, or the standing up of your hand? Take rests in between. Let your hand hang a little bit before you do the next movement, or choose a movement. Like, what is the next finger? Maybe the ring finger. Okay, let's do a movement with the ring finger. So we choose consciously and then explore the movement. And work a bit on your own with the ideas we just elaborated on. Then again, it's time for a rest. Bring down your hand to the floor. Have a short rest. Sorry to interrupt you. It's time for a rest. Yes, a short one. And then see how do you bend your elbow? What is the most agreeable path, not just the most efficient, but the one that feels best? How do you roll your lower arm? Where do you move your hand to in order to bend your elbow? So it doesn't have to be the most inefficient, the worst way to bend the elbow. You are allowed to find a way that's more efficient, more agreeable, more in alignment with who you are in your physiology, anatomy as a human, as someone who can feel and sense. What is a good way to bend your elbow and bring your lower arm to standing? And let's take that a little bit further and not just stand your lower arm, but let your hand float up towards the ceiling. How do you extend your arm? What is the most efficient pathway, the easiest pathway to lift your elbow, and the elbow lifts your hand up to the ceiling until your arm is straight. Straight up, pointing towards the ceiling. Try that a couple of times. Take rests in between. Let your arm come to rest on the floor, and then again move it, turn it, rotate it. See how you can bring your arm to stand. And then once it's standing, let it stand. Let's prove the standing. So when your arm is straight up towards the ceiling, like a stick, pump it against the floor a couple of times. Bump your shoulder blade against the floor like you would knock a stick or a broomstick, yes, on the floor. Tock, tock, tock. To get a feeling of the arm that is standing. And then collapse it again to rest your arm. On the floor, and try it once again. What is the easy pathway to float up your elbow, float up your wrist towards the ceiling? Let your arm be straight, but your hand hang. And with your arm extended, do the same thing a couple of times to stand your hand with the help of your fingers. In which direction? What is the most easy, most comfortable way to stand your hand and to have it fall over again? And slowly, slowly all stress dissipates. We become more and more at ease. We get easy, at ease, restful, resourceful. Take a last rest on your back. Let your arm and your hand rest. Feel how your hand is in touch with the floor now. One last time, bend your elbow, let your hand hang, and move your wrist through space and see how your wrist can move your hand. Let your hand hang from your wrist. See how that is now at the end of this short sequence, of this short exploration. Is it easier to open and close your hand? Do you have a better feeling for your fingers? For how each finger moves and how they move together? And then it's time to end this short lesson and roll over one side and come to stand. Please come up to stand. We need to face the world in standing. Feel how it is to have your hand, your arm hang, or to lift your hand, to show your hand around, to let your hand hang in different positions, to open it, to close it. How is one hand compared to the other? How does this affect your whole self? The way you stand, you feel, you perceive yourself and the world in this moment. It was my pleasure to present you this lesson, to go through this sequence together with you. Thank you for your support, for making these videos possible, and see you in the next video.